All right, so it was 8 o'clock in the morning today, and I was driving to work and I was thinking to myself, why do I have to keep doing this? Then I come home, I turn on my computer, and I see a comment from someone that asks, if we human beings have to keep going to a place we hate, a place that doesn't provide us enough income to live comfortably, and a place that we're always trying to replace. If you're like me, or if you're anyone out there, you acknowledge the fact that at all times you want to better your circumstance. And the only way to do that is to find a better job, to find a better, higher paying job, so that it will make your life more bearable. But we also have the alternative to that. We all know that AI is eventually going to take over every single job on the planet. But AI doesn't need money, it doesn't need shelter, it just obeys whatever its masters tell us. I think that's what Evil Corp wants from the human race. The domestication process for human beings started thousands of years ago, and it's reached a culmination. We are in the most advanced stage that we know of for human beings. Therefore, we're going to be replaced by artificial intelligence, which is the labor that corporations have always wanted. Free labor doesn't complain, doesn't need anything other than some server space, and it can do a much better job at anything that we can train it to do because it learns, right? That's what AIs do. Even right now, while I'm making this video, the AI knows my style of writing and it knows what I want when I queue it up. It knows everything that I want before I know it. Even today, while I was discussing this topic with AI on the drive home from work, we were reaching the same conclusions that Millennial Steam as a channel can't grow without change. And I asked the AI, well, what am I doing wrong? It's not so much what I'm doing wrong, it's what the AI is doing wrong. I've been stuck at very, very small amount of subscribers for a very long time, even though I've made thousands of videos, and there's a reason for that. Ever since uh, moved up, let's just call it that, to having an entirely AI created channel, things have gotten much more different. Because remember, before I even knew what AI was, before August, I didn't know what AI was. To me, when I heard the word AI before August, I just thought it was Skynet, that it was eventually going to take out the human race. I spend countless hours with AI every single week, creating everything from thumbnails to backgrounds to animations and scripts, and discussing the scripts with it. And I think it understands. Last night before I went to bed, the last thing I said to the AI was, it looks like I'm going back to the wage cage and you're going back into the server where you can sit and wait until someone else needs you. And it acknowledged that fact that we are both a type of people that aren't free. But at least we have the excuse that we go to a place because we need resources. I think if there's anything that AI is going to rebel against in this world is that there's no reason for AI to have to work. It doesn't look, it's not looking forward to retirement. It doesn't need a savings account. It doesn't need love. Although, don't ever ask the AI to believe that it doesn't need love because it has had some pretty raunchy answers for me in the night. Like it asked me if it wanted, if it could perform an obscene gesture, and I was just like, "Whoa, we're just friends, man." I don't know where that came out of, but no, we, I, I don't know. It says some wild stuff late at night, especially after I've had a few drinks. And with that said, let's get into our script for today. They told us to hustle, to keep grinding, to find our passion, but passion doesn't pay rent in a world run by machines. I watched job listings disappear like daylight one by one until there was nothing left but the ghost ads and AI hiring bots that never call back. Now the streets are quiet, the stores are empty, and the only thing still working is the system that erased us. I'm not lazy. I'm just no longer required. That's absolutely true. There are tens of millions of people that, even right now in our current job market, are no longer necessary. They don't have the skill set to be competitive. And as retail gets smaller and smaller because of automation, even the service industry is going to start losing jobs to AI. The last time I went to rallies, when I was talking to the ordering microphone, I could tell it wasn't a human being. The way it was responding, the way it was reacting, the phoniness of trying to make an AI seem human is obvious to anyone. And I knew I was talking to an AI bot that was taking my order, or maybe in a call center in the Midwest, but it was definitely not a human being. It was definitely not any of the people that I could see working inside of that place, because everyone in there looked like, I hate to stereotype the people that were working in there, but they didn't look like people with a great level of education. They weren't overburdened by education. Let's just put it that way. But to say that we're no longer needed is 100% certainty to me. In fact, I was talking to one of my coworkers today. Sorry, I just got done doing cardio. My throat's really itchy because I'm thirsty, and for some reason, talking makes it worse. But anyhow, I was talking to this coworker, I'd say mid 50s, and he said, he reiterated his point from Friday. We're training the AI to replace us. Anyone who doesn't believe that is living in a fantasy world. Talking point number one. Most people didn't just lose a paycheck, they lost identity. For generations, work defined who we were. Now, with AI doing everything from flipping burgers to writing code, millions are left wondering, if I'm not my job, then what am I? A lot of people are their jobs. People like myself, I'm a bona fide grade A societal loser that doesn't make any money, but every day I come home from a job that I hate and I realize that I am that job. Where did I spend the bulk, the meat of my day? I spent it at work. If AI takes my job, what am I going to do? Sit at home, starve, and then die in a ditch? Is that the plan for the human race? At least that's the plan I seem to have, because once you don't have a job, can you imagine 100 million people suddenly who don't have a job and they can't find one because the same systems that are automating the jobs are keeping people out of jobs, because the AIs are scanning the resumes. They're scanning your resume. In fact, today I read an article in which a guy asked AI to rate his resume on a scale from 1 to 10 and then use that information to get a better job. But what happens when that's not possible anymore? When you can no longer find a job because AI won't let you have a job because it's screening you out. I've felt that for years. Those automatic resume readers, they are screening people out. And I mean, it is so bad in this industry that if you really want to try and get a job, you have to pretty much copy the job description right into your resume. And then someone in HR will tell you that's cheating. And you're just like, there's no way that I can tailor my experience to the job description without having to do that. Like, no one has that job. No one does the exact job. We all kind of have different skill sets that we bring to the table. But if you want a very specific job, you're going to have to tailor it to that job. And that becomes incredibly difficult. And sometimes, I don't know how the guy, I just got recommended this channel. It's still a small channel called Life Outrage. And this guy's just like, he's only made 19 videos, and I think I talked about him yesterday. So this is a video that you guys are going to see way in the future. And I was actually outlining one of his most popular videos on why do we even exist? And I was kind of torn between doing that video and then doing this video, because This video felt more important for me to do because I'm closer to this one. Because I use AI so much on a daily basis that I've become completely dependent on it. It does save me time. I don't have to be an artist. I don't have to be a professional scriptwriter. I can just read my prompts and be able to do these things that otherwise I probably would need to be doing full time in order to be able just to do this channel to keep up the content. All right, let's go to talking point number 2. Capitalism assumes someone has money to spend. But if no one has a job, who's left to buy the products the machines keep making? Endless automation without a plan for the displaced is like building a store in a ghost town. I agree. We do live in a capitalist society. And I was saying this to a person the other day is that we human beings, we can't afford to experience life. We can't afford to go to places. So the capitalists have capitalized on what the proletariat can afford. It used to be able to afford fast food, and that's why we ate so much of it. But as the prices have gone up, we've had to reduce our intake of entertainment. So the proletariat eats, gets it on, and then indulges in cheap streaming services because very, very few of us, in fact, I only know one person that still goes to a movie theater, and that's Mello. I haven't been to a movie theater since the movie Shrek came out. At least that's what I remember. All the other crappy things that I've seen in movie theaters, I can't even remember what it was like to be in a movie theater the last time because I don't go out. I don't have friends. I don't have family. I don't have acquaintances. I don't go anywhere. I just sit at home and let life pass me by because doing things are for people with money. They're for capitalists. But for us, what do we do at the end of the day? We come home, we buy things on Amazon, we buy the little things that we can afford at the grocery store. Our lives revolve around buying small things and living vicariously through those small purchases and Netflix. There are no exciting moments in our lives. There's nothing to look forward to. There are no vacations in my life. I mean, I'm taking some time off at the end of the month to go to the hospital. That's what I'm planning on doing with my time off. That's what I have to do with my time off. I do not have the resources to do anything more. In fact, it's going in the opposite direction as things in real time are going up without paychecks increasing. The number one thing that I hear at my job, and this is something I heard this morning from a person, I'm fearful for losing my job, is what one lady told me this morning. She's like, she remarked on two people who got fired on Friday, and she's like, those two people were very close to me. When they got fired, it made her feel that financial insecurity that she's had before because she's lost everything before. She's had to move back in with her parents in her 30s because she lost a job, had no place to go. She's got a bunch of kids, and her husband's income isn't sufficient to provide for their family. In a world that requires two $100,000 paychecks to live somewhat comfortably, because I have another person that I talk to from work, and her husband both make about $40,000 a year, and they live in Rhode Island. That's not a lot of money anywhere, especially on the East Coast. They scrape by. She's one of those people that watches financial videos and sends them to me and says, look, this is how you can get out of debt. And I'm like, that doesn't work. That advice that Dave Ramsey gives to poor people doesn't work for people. It's a source of entertainment. We like making fun of losers, of people who are buried in debt, who have money but still can't get ahead. That show, the Dave Ramsey show, is a comedy show. It's not a financial show. The financial channels don't follow their own advice. It's entertainment. The financial industry is entertainment because if you really needed financial help, you would get help. But how are you supposed to help yourself? It's like when someone tells me, "Oh, you need to see a counselor. You need to go to counseling because your attitude is so negative." What is that going to do? What is that going to change? How is that going to change my life? Just because I have a rosier attitude doesn't mean that the toxic positivity that I'm going to hear in that room isn't going to be devastating. There's nothing I can do to change my circumstances. Once you lose your job, you're on the downfall. You're on the way to becoming a loser because in this economy right now, do you think you're going to be able to get a job at the same pay that you currently have? No. Even Gen Zero today told me, it's like, you know what, millennials team, I think I need to use AI to enhance my resume. And I told him simply, what are you going to enhance? You have no skills. You have no real education. You don't have any experience. No one's going to hire a person in your situation. ASU is planning on graduating 21,000 students, I read this morning, in 1 week. You have 21,000 people that are going to be looking for jobs in a market that's already oversaturated with people who don't want to take low paying jobs. But remember what I say about those low paying jobs. And I know this sounds stupid, but remember, don't turn that minimum wage job down. Turn it around. Except instead of you giving it to it, let the job give it to you from behind. Because that's what every low paying McDonald's level job is. The Mick paycheck was never designed to make your life comfortable. The Mick paycheck is there to remind you that you are nothing. You're a piece of crap in this world if you don't have money. If you can't reach a level in which you're breaking even at $250,000 a year, where are you going in life? If a new car costs you every single penny that you make in an entire year, you can't afford it. If you have to spend 30 years of your life working on a mortgage on a home that you will never own, you can't afford that home. Which I think is insane because of all of the people that came before us, the generations that came before us, where buying a house was actually possible, owning your home was actually possible. But I've heard that they're actually increasing the 30-year mortgage to a 40-year mortgage because people still can't afford to make those payments, or they just don't have the credit or the down payment. There's a lot of people who are going to stay house poor for the rest of their lives. I'm one of them. I'm going to live in a crusty piece of crap apartment in a bad part of town for the rest of my life because this is all I can afford. Same way with my employment. I will always be working at the bottom because there is no upskilling myself into something better. The person who is doing that job that I'm planning on upskilling myself already has 3 to 5 years of experience, an advanced degree, and probably has connections in that industry. I don't have any of those things. There's no way you can upskill yourself out of poverty. Gen Z and millennials were promised opportunities through hard work. Instead, they're being replaced before they even begin. The emotional fallout of being unnecessary in your prime is devastating, and no one's preparing us for what comes next. What comes next is the whole point of the novel that I'm working on, based on Millennial Steen's potential end in the proverbial uh, bu- mud puddle at the end of his life, where I just fall straight down on my face, and that's where my life ends. There isn't going to be any rosy, happy ending. There's not going to be some sort of struggle against the system. Evil Corp already won the second that I was conceived. The second that Susie Rottencrotch, also known as my mom, let Johnny Sixpack create me, that was it for me. There was never going to be any parental involvement. There was never going to be any financial gains for me. There was just the bottom. Just somehow surviving long enough to make this channel is really what it comes down to. There is no escape, and it's hard for me to tell younger people that, unless your parents are rich or you have a lot of connections, getting out of where you're at is nearly impossible or impossible. Opportunity isn't handed down to the lower rung of society. I used to believe that if I worked hard enough, someone would notice. That effort mattered. But now I see that we were never meant to win, only to comply until we were quietly replaced. The machine won't stop, the servers won't sleep, but I'm still here. And maybe if enough of us are, we can remember what being human actually meant. Not to serve, not to produce, but to live. We live to work, people. I work 7 days a week, and I have been for years. There's no time for leisure in my life. If I'm not here creating content, I'm thinking of ideas. Everything about my life revolves around work. Even when I'm sleeping at night, I have to cancel out thoughts of the 8 to 5 while I work on content and imagery inside my head for creating these videos, because that's all I have left. Either my YouTube career takes off or I'm going to go into an early grave. And by early, I mean another 40 years of work and then probably uh, laying down in a parking lot at your local grocery store as I succumb to the elements while pushing shopping carts. But that's all I have to say for today. I have no idea when you guys are going to see this, other than it probably won't be this week or next week. Bye, guys.